Welcome to the Scam Economy with your host, Matt Bender.
That's right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Scam Economy. I am your host, Matt Binder. And let me just ask you to imagine this scenario. You're a single person looking online for a partner, or maybe even just a date or a hookup, casual hookup. You open one of the many dating apps that there are. You're scrolling through, swiping left, swiping right, whatever the apps have you do these days. You find a match, you two get talking, you think something's there, and all of a sudden, that match starts trying to sell you cryptocurrency. On this episode of Scam Economy, we will be looking at the influx of dating app crypto scams. Now, you might have seen some of this on the news. It's been getting coverage on local news channels, various media outlets. I even saw it on the Today Show. Well, just a few weeks ago, during the Scam Economy call-in live stream, which I call the Scam Economy Crypto Hotline, I had numerous callers all of a sudden, just unprompted. This wasn't planned. I had not reached out to any of them in advance, but it just so happened that one person called in and shared their truly wild story, twists and turns, swerves everywhere, about what happened when they matched with someone on a dating app who turned out to be a crypto scammer. And after that person's story, we had an influx of people calling in to share their dating app crypto scams that they were targeted from. And so I thought, you know what? People gotta hear this. It's not just enough to have it on the live stream. So I've cut together the best of those calls to present to all of you guys. But before we do that, folks, scameconomy.com to find everywhere you can listen to the podcast version of this show. Please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify if you can. Subscribe to the YouTube channel at youtube.com/MattBinder, twitch.tv/MattBinder. Follow the Twitch channel. And also, if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, just connect your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch Prime account, and Amazon gives you one free Twitch paid subscription each month. It's the equivalent of you taking from Bezos's pockets and putting Bezos's money into my pockets. You get to be Robin Hood. Also, patreon.com/MattBinder to directly monetarily support this show. It's a big help if you can. I'm really trying to hire some people to help create more content, get the content out there, and I can't do it without my patrons, so patreon.com/MattBinder to help build out this show. And also, check out my other show, Doomed with Matt Binder. On the most recent episode of the show, I spoke with Taylor Lorenz of the Washington Post and her fantastic report about the heinous anti-LGBTQ account on Twitter called the Libs of TikTok. You can check that out at the YouTube channel and also at doomedcast.com. And without any further ado, let me answer those phones and hear about your dating app crypto scams. Hello, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Michael from Texas.
Hey, Michael from Texas. What would you like to talk about?
Well, I've wanted to call in since since episode 2, since I discovered you were doing post shows with a very specific topic, but I don't want to talk about that today. Because I want to share a story with you, something interesting that happened to me about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So, I'm in my mid-30s and I'm single, so naturally I use dating apps. Kind of see what's out there, connect with people, all that kind of stuff. And I connected with someone or matched with someone a couple weeks ago, I'm going to say
Congratulations.
she. Oh, well,
We'll see. We'll see.
the story continues. So I matched with someone, and her profile said she was from Macau, China, but she supposedly lives in the States. And we started messaging each other, and it was, there was a little bit of flirting, but mostly just some real surface level talking. Like, I was working at the time, so I was talking about the work I was doing, and we probably talked for maybe 5 or 6 hours off and on while I was working, and then
And this is
I
just through
finished
the
with.
app, to be clear. This is just like text
Well,
messaging via the app.
so we were on the app, and then she asked if I had any social media, and I said, well, I have an Instagram account. I'm not on Twitter anymore. I don't use Facebook, but I have an Instagram account that I very rarely use. I said, well, I'm on here. And she said, okay, well, I'll message you on there. And I said, okay, that's fine. So we were talking on the app, then we were talking on Instagram, just text messages, no voice call, no video call. And it got to the end of that day when we were talking, and she sent me like a picture of her dinner and, just kind of real surface level stuff. And so I said, oh, well, I just sat down for dinner at a restaurant, and she asked me what I was eating, and we were just going back and forth. And then all of a sudden I get this message from the app, like an email from the app. And it says, one of your matches, person's name, was recently removed based on information regarding potentially fraudulent behavior. And then at the bottom, it says, with an asterisk, fraudulent behavior includes, but is not limited to, using false identity or posing a significant risk of attempting to obtain money using deceitful means. And
Wow.
so I just get this email, and I'm like, well, that's very strange. And before I can even process that, she sends me this message, and it's in two parts. So the first part was she was saying something about the dinner I was eating. It's just one message. It says something about me eating whatever, comma, and then it says, I went to see the data of cryptocurrency futures trading. So it just takes a complete left turn. And I'm like, oh yeah? And I watch your show, I pay attention to crypto NFT world. So I'm just like, okay, this is something weird. Like,
Right.
But I'm just kind of like, yeah, I'm just kind of like, oh, really? And her next message is, this is a 3-year futures trading investment. And I'm like, okay. And then she says, don't you know cryptocurrencies? Have you also made cryptocurrencies? And I'm like, well, it's not really my thing. And she says, oh, I get it. You just heard. You don't know how people do it, do you? And then she says, buying cryptocurrencies is just one way. How to make money with your purchased cryptocurrencies is the most important thing. And at this point, I'm just offering nothing. I'm just like, oh, okay, And she says she's been doing it for 3 years. She learned about it from her aunt, who worked at Goldman Sachs for over 20 years. And I'm just like, all right, like, I'm just kind of, oh, okay, neat, that kind of thing. And so finally it gets to be kind of late, and she says, okay, I'm going to go do yoga and meditation. And I'm like, all right, good night, sleep well or whatever. Like, I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to, she can message me later, whatever. It doesn't matter. Like, I'll just not respond or whatever. So then she sends me a message. So I don't message her at all. This was on This was on a Saturday night.
I got to
So I
tell you,
don't.
I'm on the edge of my seat right now, waiting for like an M Night Shyamalan like twist or something. This is
Well, I mean,
fascinating.
I guess the twist already happened, but there's just
Right.
there's more of this. So this is a Saturday night. I don't message her on Sunday. I'm working again, and I have to travel home. I have a flight in the evening. So she sends me a message on Monday morning and says, "Did you forget about me?" or something like that. And I'm just like, "Oh, I was working and whatever." And again, I'm just sort of like, you know, just kind of not really offering anything, just sort of, I don't even know why, just I guess responding to be polite, like just to not completely ignore this person. Um, so we start having a conversation that's just basically like, how was your day, whatever. I'm like, oh, I had a meeting and then I did some more work, and how was your work, and we're just kind of going back and forth like that. Um, And then she randomly asks, like, how long have you been single? And I'm like, oh, for a few years now or whatever. And I don't like give her any details, or, I'm just kind of like, oh, a couple years. And she's like, oh, what happened with your last relationship? I'm like, oh, it didn't work out. Um, and then, hold on, I'm looking at the screen caps of the messages.
Can you share? It's totally fine if you don't want to, but can you share which app it was?
It was Hinge,
Okay.
which is I'm on a couple apps. They're all pretty useless. So, I mean, I don't know. But Hinge is supposed to be the one that's like geared towards like actually making meaningful connections. And in the time that I've used it, this is the most meaningful connection I've made. So I don't know that it really, works as well as they hope. But so.
Oh wait, here's an
Okay.
interesting thing about Hinge. This is a little bit off topic, but the founder and CEO of Hinge worked with a team that was basically like the precursor to Hinge, that included the Facebook whistleblower Francis Hogan. So that's interesting.
Oh,
But continue.
yeah.
What a small world we live in,
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's Silicon Valley, right? It's like
Yeah.
there's like 8 people there that are trying to
Right.
control the whole world.
Right.
Um, but okay, so so she asked me about my last relationship and why it didn't work out or whatever. And then I'm like, "Oh, maybe we can talk about that later." And she says, "Well, I hope to know more about your situation. It'll be good for us to get along in the future." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I think so too," or something like that. And then out of nowhere, she says, this is right after this conversation, this part of the conversation. She says, "You have something to do. I want to see the data of blockchain encrypted digital currency." And I'm like, "Yeah?" And she says, "You don't seem to have any of your own investments, do you?" And I said, "No, this isn't really the right time for me to invest money in something." Um, and then she says that's really funny for some reason. I don't know. She's like, "Haha, that's funny." Um, so then, because she asked me about, you know, why did my last relationship end? I'm like, okay, I'll ask her why her last relationship ended, because that seems like a kind of a specific question for someone who is just trying to get me to sign up for like a crypto site or whatever.
Right.
So I ask her, and she tells me this long story about her boyfriend when she lived in Macau. They started a business together, and I don't know what this business was, but supposedly she started this business with her ex-boyfriend, her boyfriend at the time. The business wasn't doing very well, so he had to go do late night meetings with potential clients at bars, like go out drinking with people to try to drum up business. And then uh, he started staying out later and later. She thought that he was cheating on her. At one point, she called him, did a FaceTime, and there were people in the background that were not wearing clothes. Like it was like
I gotta be honest. I'm shocked. There's even this part of the story because from the language you were reading to me in like the crypto shilling parts, like the broken English and everything, it honestly sounded like you were talking to a bot. I'm
yeah.
actually stunned that there is like a human jumped back on to give you like an almost personal human sounding story here.
Right. Well, and so this, as far as I know, this person or whatever, whoever I was talking to when I was talking to them is actually from Macau. So like some of the weird English and whatever was kind of like maybe that's just not being a native speaker or, like I have no idea. Like this person had pictures on their Instagram that looked like the person that was in the profile that I saw. So I don't know, but supposedly this person found out that their boyfriend slash business partner was cheating on them. He came home. She confronted him. They got in a fight. He was abusive in the moment and then took $300,000 from their shared bank account and left her with hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, which then she was able to pay off when her aunt told her about cryptocurrency.
Ah! Oh, that's the payoff. Boom. That's
Yep.
it right there. Thank you. Thank you.
And and she claims that she specifically said $300,000 or yeah. I was suddenly saddled with hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. Hundreds of thousands. And she says that she worked with her aunt for, I think she said a couple of months or even maybe just a month, like a shockingly small amount of time, and paid off hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. And then she was really depressed and her aunt told her she should move to the U.S. to kind of get away. Like, even though she paid off the debt, I guess she was still not doing well. So her aunt told her to move to the U.S. to get away from the situation or whatever. Okay, yeah, it says I worked with my aunt for a month to pay off all the debts. And then she talks about how she cried when she paid the debts off and she was so happy and whatever. And so I got that whole story. And
did she go into what specifically she did? Like, what was the specific crypto scheme she was involved, money making scheme, get rich quick method she was involved in?
No, all she ever told me was cryptocurrencies. Just and then she was
dogs
like
howling
those...
in the background right now are just making this just magnificent.
Sorry.
No, I'm being serious. Everything in this story is just coming together. People are gonna think that I planned this out. I got like actors and a soundboard and everything. Got the dogs howling in the background. This is great. So where does it go from here?
Okay, so that was kind of the end of that conversation. Like we talked for, this was probably a couple hours for this whole what happened with your boyfriend and stuff. And again, she only ever talked about, all she ever said was cryptocurrencies. She never said Bitcoin. She never said Ethereum or Doge or anything. So the next day, we talked a little bit that was kind of like not really anything. And then at one point it got to like after work time. She asked how work went that day. I said it went fine. And then she said, "Do you have any plans for tonight?" Oh. And I said, "I've got a little bit more work to do, catching up on emails. Then I may watch a movie or something. What about you?" This is exactly our conversation. I may watch a movie. What about you?
I got to say, you're a very patient person. Long before this point, I would have been like, all right, buddy, get to the point. You're selling me something here. What's going on? Get this over with. Give me your pitch so I could shut you down.
Right. Well, and it was kind of that thing where it was like, maybe I can waste this person's time a little bit more, and that means they won't be bothering someone else. Like, I don't know. Like, it was
Let's
just
be
sort of
honest,
like,
you were holding out hope that there was still a lady on the other end who was interested in you.
I mean, if I could get away without without the crypto part, maybe, but it seemed like that wasn't really likely. Um, and everything I'm telling her is like, again, real base level. Like, I don't know, I may watch a movie. Like, I didn't even say like I'm gonna watch this or I'm gonna do, like, it's just like I'll just send like real generic messages. So I said, "What about you?" And she said, "I'm looking at the data of encrypted digital currency. The recent market is better." And then she said, and then I didn't respond. Her next message was, "You can sign up for your own trading accounts, etc. When there is a market, I can take you to operate to earn some income, which can also relieve some of your pressure on paying bills and increase passive income for yourself." This is all one message.
Right.
And I'm kind of like, no, I'm not really interested. Like, at this point, I'm just like, no, I don't really want to, whatever. Um, so then she turns on me and starts basically saying she was saying like, we could never be together. We can never get married if you're poor, if you're a loser. And she said like, do you have a house?
That good old Web3 wag me right there. We're all gonna make it. Yep, we're all in this together. We're gonna save everybody. That's that spirit right there. Gonna help the poor, the impoverished, the unbanked. That's that spirit right there, baby.
Well, but I'm, what is it? NGAM? I'm not, or
you're not gonna make it.
NGMI? I'm not gonna make it because I didn't sign up.
Have fun staying poor.
Yeah. So like, she asked me if I own a house, and I said no, which I don't. Which, I'm in my 30s. Like, who in their 30s in this day and age owns a house? And I'm like, no, I don't own a house. And she's like, what, are you gonna get married and then rent? And it's just like starts berating me. And so like finally I just like start ignoring her. And she's like just sending me a bunch of messages basically telling me I'm a loser and I'm not responding. And then finally, like a day and a half later, I sent her a message and I'm just like, hey, look, I don't want anything to do with like crypto. I don't want to get scammed, whatever. Like, I'm just like, basically like, you're a scammer, shame on you, basically. And then she sends the message, "You are poor and have nothing. Do you think you are qualified to be deceived?" And then she says, "It's so funny for a guy with nothing to worry about being cheated. LOL."
Dude, you undersold this story. There has been at least 4 separate swerves as this story goes on. All of a sudden, she hates your guts? What's going on here?
I guess, like, to me, it just feels like one long grift.
This is the most amazing scam I've ever heard. Did she think you were like into BDSM or something, and she was gonna like
if she was with me, it would change my mind. I don't know, or maybe she was just like, I wasted all this time on this idiot and he didn't give me any money, so then I was like, go find another mark, like, maybe they'll fall for your stupid scam, although and I said, like, you're not very good at scamming people. And then she said, "I'm the only guy who thinks it's a scam." And then she says, "And your heart is full of darkness. How can there be sunshine?" And I was like, okay, I mean, I don't know how to respond to that. Like, whatever. Let's see, what else? Oh, so this was my favorite message she sent.
This is the bizarre. Like, you didn't give any. I just want to make sure I got this clear. This heel turn where she starts berating you and shitting all over you. You didn't call her out for the scam yet, even, right? Like, you didn't like knock her. She just asked you if, like, she basically was like pressing you to find out how much money you had or how wealthy you were. And once you responded with answers that showed that you weren't like incredibly rich or had money to invest in her scheme, she just like turned on you then, right? Like, I'm not missing anything. Like, you didn't say anything to her yet that made it seem like you were onto her scam, right?
No. Well, so when I went back and reread some of the messages, I did notice she was dropping little bits about like my income, but it was never like, do you make a lot of money or do you have a lot of savings? It was just like, oh, do you make, because we were talking about work, and she was like, oh, do you make good money doing your job? And I was like, oh, it pays pretty well. Like, that's what I would tell anybody. Like, yeah, it pays all right. Like, I enjoy it, and it, keeps a roof over my head, kind of thing. So there was a little bit of that. And then there was the question about, do you have a house? And that was when she turned on me and started saying, like, well, you know, you and I are never going to get married because we're not going to rent a place, and we have to have a house. And like that, that was sort of the direction it was going. And then it was that she was sending me those messages when I stopped responding. And then it was like a day later when I said, hey, I don't want to get scammed, leave me alone. Like, I don't, crypto's a scam, stop trying to scam people, basically. And then that's where all this like real hateful stuff started. But it was, to me, it started with right after the question about the house, where she was like, you're poor, I'm not going to marry you. No one's going to marry you if you want to rent someplace, whatever.
Oh wait, it's starting to make sense to me now. I guess they're hoping that a guy is that desperate that they feel like there's a possible connection there with that person if only they had more money. And that's when they're like, okay, tell me how to make more money so we could be together. Is that where I think that's where this is going, maybe? I mean, it's very like childish, I guess, that line of thinking, but I guess men fall for it all the time if they're doing this.
I mean, I don't like, it seems like a long walk for not much payoff to me.
Possibly. I mean, there must be enough stupid people out there, and I say that not to knock the victims, but I mean, it's just the truth. Gullible, maybe that's the better term. There's enough gullible people out there for them to do this, right? I mean, because if this was never successful for them before, I mean, unless they're trying out a brand new strategy and you're the lucky first guy to get it tested on, this had to have worked before for them to keep doing this.
I mean, I would think so. Like, because there was plenty of discussion about, hey, you should go sign up for this thing, or like, hey, I've been looking at this, and if you're able to invest, like maybe this is the time to invest. There was that stuff. There was never any discussion of, let's do a voice call, let's do a video call, let's meet up for whatever, like let's get coffee. Like, there was never anything like that. So maybe the idea is to get someone on the hook, like sign them up for the app and get some money into the system and then ghost them. Like,
right.
Like, but then this person, I'll say she, like, I don't know if it's really a she even, but, once I called her out for being a scammer, like, it was a lot of angry messages, there's darkness in your heart. And my favorite one is,
imagine you misogynist, you. How dare you attack that poor woman?
Yeah. My favorite message was, if I had nothing at your age, I would have died. Living is a waste of air and time.
What? No, I really do wonder if it was an action. First of all, when when you were telling me the crypto stuff, it definitely sounded like an automated like chat bot that they just like every answer you gave just triggered a new response on like the build your own adventure thing they got. Like these chatbot programs, like I've seen how they work. It's basically like, if the person says this, you go this way, or if the person says this, the conversation turns this way. And there's like literally like a whole like those books, your own adventure books. It's literally like that, but chatbots. So you say something and they like it's a prompt for the chatbot to go a certain direction it was programmed to go. But then you go into this really specific human sounding stuff where she gets personal. And I don't know what's going on here. I mean, I'm assuming there's some it's got to be some like paid call center or something like that. For them to be so dedicated to you on this, I would assume whoever's behind the screen, whether it is a man or a woman, is being paid, because this sounds intense. They're putting a lot of time and effort into you without any guarantee of a payoff.
Right. Well, and so, similar to what I was saying earlier about, at a certain point, it's just like, let's just waste this person's time. They we went back and forth for a while with them being angry at me and saying things like, my monthly pocket money is your salary for a few months. Can you take out tens of thousands in cash immediately?
And at no point they send you a link, like an affiliate link, like a hidden affiliate link, or some crypto exchange link, or tell you
no Coinbase,
ask you for a wallet.
Nope.
They extract no personal information from you, or attempt to extract personal information from you. No attempt.
The only personal question, like there was a little bit of like, what do you do for work? Which, I'm a videographer, so it's like, oh, I do videography.
Oh, right away, they should have hung up on you right there. I can tell you as a film major and who went through those ropes, we don't got no money. So there's no money in there. So they should have known right away, this is a lost cause.
Right. Well, so there was a little bit of that, and then there was the stuff about, what was up with your last relationship. Like that was the only, like, they never asked for like,
but none of
send
that
more
stuff,
pictures or
none of that stuff though is personal information that would get them any closer to monetization for themselves. Like there's like none of that has to do with financial data. None of that has to do with even like personal data to try to like brute force hack into your account or something like that. None of that seems to be relevant to anything where they can extract money directly from you by getting into some account of yours, whether it be an online email or a social media account or a bank account, anything. This is just bizarre.
Right. Well, and so, like I said, like I got that email from Hinge where they were like, hey, this person might be like trying to get people to send them money. And so from then on, like, obviously I was never going to, like, I probably wouldn't have anyway. Like, I'm not going to just be like, oh, here's my bank account, what, like, here's the last four of my social or whatever. Like, but of course, as soon as I got that email, like I was immediately on, high alert, just like, well, I'm just going to give this person nothing. Just the most baseline, like, I could have gone into a whole story about, my last relationship and blah, blah, blah. But I was just like, oh, it's kind of tough to talk about. And then I just, it's just like, I'm just going to, go gray, for lack of a better term, as people say, like, just give them nothing they can go off of. And like I said, like, all she ever said was like, oh, I've been looking at the markets, and you should sign up. But there was no link. There was no, this is the service that I use, or this is the best place to get returns on your crypto or whatever. There's nothing like that.
This is really fascinating. Like I have always been interested, and even I cover for work, as is my reporter job. I cover like online scams a lot, and I guess I have a blind spot to certain dating app scams because I am in a very long-term relationship, and have, in fact, my relationship predates all these dating apps, like these dating mobile apps. So this might be my major blind spot when it comes to scams. And I have not heard anything quite like this before. This is fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I've been on dating apps for a couple years now. I haven't had a lot of, success, not to bum everybody out, but like, I haven't run across anything like that either. Like, as far as I could tell, everyone I've ever matched with and talked to has been, they definitely, no one's tried to sell me crypto, and everyone seems to have been who they were pretending, were on their profile, except for this person. So maybe this is a new thing. Maybe this is like the newest Nigerian prince kind of thing, or I don't know.
Yeah,
if it is,
I would love. I mean, it's probably too late for you now, and obviously you did the probably safe thing for. I mean, I doubt at this you would have fallen for anything at this point if you kept it going. And obviously the app Hinge shut it down at some point too. But I would be extremely interested in trying to take this the whole way with this scammer and see where this ends up. I mean, as I'm saying that, it made me sound like I'm like going the whole way, like we ended up having sex or something with this. Like that's part of the scam. Actually, they actually meet with you,
Yeah.
and they have a relationship with you, and you have sexual intercourse. It's all part of the scam. I mean, that would be something else. That would be a long-term scam. Let me tell you. But
Well, I could write a book, How I Married a Crypto Scammer, or something,
right, they
something
have
like
kids
that.
with you. You have
Yeah.
children. Right, and then all of a sudden, they finally deliver the big line and scam you and disappear, and that's it.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was a story. Wow. Thanks so much for calling in and sharing that. It is that was a ride.
Yeah. Well, and I assume that anybody who watches Scam Economy would already be, suspicious, but hopefully nobody out there, maybe somebody is now aware of it that wouldn't have been otherwise. So, and also it's just, a fun story to share, obviously. So.
Right. And as Ivan Ivan in the YouTube super chat says, long story short, I'm married.
Yeah.
And Bob in the super chat says, not super chat, this is regular YouTube chat, says, I now pronounce you man and NFT. Congratulations, buddy. Have fun kissing your non-fungible token.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, though, for calling in with that.
Yeah.
Really, really fascinating stuff. And I'm now going to fall into a rabbit hole and find myself my own scammer hinge date. Thank you.
Yeah. Happy to help.
Have a great night.
All right. You too.
I'm floored by that story. Oh, there's more people who are calling in right. Someone just messaged me on Skype saying they want to call in. They have a similar story. Ooh, I love it. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is actually Alex from New York. The guy who called in and talked about, I just turned on your show and was like, what are they talking about? And he was talking about going on a dating app and getting matched with like a scammer. And that happened twice to me. Like I've been on the apps for years.
Crypto scammer? Crypto related scammer?
But it's been over the years, it's changed. Some of them are like, send me gift cards,
Right.
Like, and it's like, no, I'm not going to go to Dwayne Reed and buy PlayStation gift cards and mail them to you in Ohio. Like I'm telling you, this is the kind of weird shit that's on the apps. I know you haven't been on them, like you said earlier.
Right.
But so they've gone from that, now it's crypto. And they've also gotten more advanced because when you're talking about the chat bots, how it's like laid out like a choose your own adventure, that is what it felt like talking to. It always feels like you're talking to someone who speaks broken English, and they always have an excuse like, I'm from another country,
Right.
So I'm like, all right. But they repeat phrases and it reacts like you were saying. But now they've gotten more personal, like that guy. And I was like, that's what happened to me recently. So it was two different ones. And they're like talking about personal stuff, like Christmas plan. This is from a while ago. So like holiday plans and what they had for dinner, and they would send pictures of like food and like Christmas trees and stuff. So you feel like you're talking to a real person, but there's always them bringing up, oh, I love to check my crypto app in the morning and see where my stuff is at, and like just hyping it up like cheerleaders.
Right.
It's very strange. And then when I just didn't show, I was just like, I showed interest because I want to see how far this goes. Because like you said, it could be real. Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, it's hard to tell. If they're speaking broken English anyway, it's kind of hard to tell. And then they're sending pictures now, which they never did before.
Oh, they got...
Well,
so
unless they would send like explicit...
They
would get very like sexual very fast. And that's how I knew it was a scam. and they would send like nudes and stuff of like clearly some model or whatever.
Now I wonder
now it's like,
if the photo, the photo, like, yeah, that's what the photos could be from anywhere. Like, they could
yeah,
be,
exactly.
or they could be those AI well, these are probably more if they send you like just like a face pic. It could be like those AI generated photos.
Yeah,
Although
sure. Now,
I did come across there was a project just basically to show off how advanced AI generated images are now. And there was one that, that one where it's these people aren't, this isn't a real person, and it's just AI generated images
Yeah,
of human faces, but the people
yeah,
do not
those are
exist.
weird.
There was
Yeah.
one that did the same thing for boobs. I'm not lying. I'm not shitting with you. It was it was literally like just like a project to show people, look what these. It was half to be funny and half to show you like, look what
The
AI
technology.
generation
Yeah.
can do. And it was literally, I think it's called "These Boobs Do Not Exist" or something like that. Just like the person
Great.
one.
That's great. That's a great title. Yeah. So yeah, they can get the pictures from anywhere, and now they have the technology to just make up fake people. You know. Um. And that's what I mean. It got personal, and it felt sort of like talking to a real person. And then when I just never showed any interest, like, I'm buying this thing now, I would always talk about crypto, like, yeah, sure, I like it. My friends, I actually have a friend who's uh, works at a crypto hedge fund, and they make crazy amounts of money. But so I would just I would respond positively whenever they would talk about it, but never like, I'm buying it now, or what should I buy, or what should I invest in. They would offer suggestions. They would name ones sometimes that they liked. And once, and whenever I'd ask to meet or get a coffee, like, like the other guy was saying, they would avoid the question or be like, I'm out of town, or I can't right now, or whatever. Or like, invest first, implying that, like, are you going to download the app, whatever app it was?
Right.
Yeah, it was very strange. And they always move to WhatsApp. It's always WhatsApp. That's how I know.
Interesting. Now that might be the tell right there that this is not obviously an a US based scam. Because
Yeah,
you could use WhatsApp here, but I think people need to understand, if you don't already. In the U.S., WhatsApp is basically just like a fun little, if you even use it, a fun little just another social media platform. But outside the U.S., especially in like South America and in parts of Asia, it is literally the replacement for text messages. People use it everyday, regular basis to text message their family.
Yeah.
So WhatsApp is a huge app outside of the U.S. So that's a tell right there to me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and there was one, I think it was, WhatsApp's been around for a while. If a girl like wants to actually talk to you, they'll say like Instagram or like phone number. But WhatsApp is always, it's like, it feels dark webby, probably because it's so international.
Thanks for calling in with your experiences there. It is, I gotta sit down with my partner and convince them that I swear I'm not downloading Hinge or Bumble because I'm looking for a relationship. I need to find these scammers. I promise you, that's why I'm on here. I need to find these scammers.
Download all of them. All of them. Hunt, Hinge, Bumble, Tinder. I mean,
maybe I could convince her that if I do it on Grindr, it'll be okay. Maybe if I just look for scammers on Grindr, it'll be okay. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Matt. It's Josh. I'm from California.
Hey, Josh from California.
Same general story.
Damn, I'm so glad you're all calling in, because now I definitely have a full episode for the main show. Like, I'm sorry, the guys in the post show who think this is just exclusively for them. This time around, you guys need to be heard by as many people as possible, because this is fascinating.
It really is. Yeah, so this is the first time I ever ran into this was like a couple of weeks ago, actually. So it's really amazing that it's coming up right now. So basically, it was this really attractive woman, supposedly from Singapore, um, totally like, I mean, it's one of those people you would think, okay, what are you doing on an app? But occasionally you run into that type of person because maybe they're busy or whatever. I don't know, and they don't really have time to date. So I have met people, before. But anyways, basically the story is they sort of this one was a little bit better than your original caller. They spent like a week being like a normal human being, talking about she had a business and was a fashion designer and sent like photos of her like sketches and all of this kind of stuff. And after about a week, and I asked her out, and she's like, "Well, I got to go to LA for," and she had very specific. I live in the Bay Area, and she had very specific information about like restaurants and like where they were located within different neighborhoods. And I mean, I know you can get that from maps, but it was like, "Hey, I like this dish at this." So like the amount of research that had to go into to it was like a lot.
Hey, I live in the U.S. and I know nothing about California, so I mean, they already know more than me. So that's impressive.
Yeah, man. So it was like, there was this, and there were little things that I think were designed to make me feel financially inferior, which is funny because I work in tech, I do fine, and so it probably am not as susceptible to feeling like
Honestly, I thought
guilty
you were gonna
about
say.
money or like,
I thought you were gonna say, they
go
were
ahead.
trying to make me feel inferior about money, and I gotta say, they couldn't do that because I've long been there. I've already feel. They
Yeah,
can't do any
man.
worse.
Yeah, well, I mean, for the first 38 years of my life, that was me. Like, I felt shitty about money, and I was like, no, and then I stopped caring, and then I made money, and it was like, it's just weird. But anyways, and I'm not bragging about that.
No, I
It's
mean it's
just,
part of the story.
it,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, yeah, it was so, and she said, or it, or whatever, said something about, oh well, I've been investing in crypto, and or she made they made it sound like it at first like it was day trading, of like stocks, because I had brought up something and I can't remember exactly what it was, and it was in response to something that she said, and then she was like, oh well, I do these 60-second like shorting and of different crypto, and then she sent this screenshot of like from an app, I guess probably Coinbase, of like a trade that she had executed. Supposedly, it was like, and if you studied it for like 10 seconds, it's like, no, that's a $3 billion trade. There's no fucking way you did that. But because they made like $21,000 in like 60 seconds or something. I was like, no, that's too greedy. So I immediately got suspicious, but then I, like the other guys, I just sort of played along for a little. I was like, there's no way you made that much money. And she's like, no, I have a mentor that tells me how to do all of this. And that's apparently
Right.
part of the scam, that they have inside information that like, they'll tell you that they have an uncle that they'll let you in on they won't tell you who it is at first, but then they'll let you in on the secret because they like you or whatever, that, oh, it's actually my uncle who works for, JP Morgan Chase in their crypto division or whatever, like, to build confidence and all of that kind of crap. But then, so eventually we went through this and I was really suspicious. And then I was like, and then they tried to get me to go onto Coinbase, and I'm like, no, I know where this is going. So, and I think, from what I've read about the scam, because I went and Googled it after, like immediately, I was like, something's going on. And apparently they will sort of either get you to try and buy some shit coin that they have, or if they don't get you to download Coinbase, they'll send you to some like other website that is their like exchange essentially. That it's like an exchange that this group controls or this scammer controls or whoever, and they'll let you make money at first, like up to $1,000, and then they want you to be greedy. And there's a couple of news articles I sent you, like in the chat for Skype. I sent you the Reddit thread that I found, and like a scam advisor web article that I found. But there's a couple of others. If you follow the name of the scam, you'll be able to find a bunch of news articles on it. It's actually really interesting, but and how big of an operation it is. But essentially they've run out of victims in China, so now they're moving to the U.S.
Interestingly, it feels like while the scams you're telling me about sound similar to the scam that the first guy specifically told me about. It does seem like it's different though. Like it seems like there was a more obvious end game in yours. Do you know what I mean? Whereas the version that first caller gave me, it seemed like that was like a long-term actual like catfishing. Like this just seems like get someone to a place where like you'll get them with a link, which seems to be more of a traditional type scam, whether it's on a dating site or not. But that first one, it almost seemed like they wanted to go the whole way and make this person like almost like a catfish sugar daddy or something. The way they were like egging them on to continue in this like relationship, unless I'm misreading what you're telling me. But it does seem like there was an end game.
I'm getting there.
Okay, go ahead.
Because as soon as I said, I'm not really interested in crypto, like it's not, for all of the reasons that you've described, but especially like the environmental stuff just drives me nuts. Like, let's find a new way to kill the planet. He, whatever, the bot, who the hell knows, but was like, oh, well, I can't trust anything you say. Oh, that was one of the things earlier, like that day was like, oh, I just want to, like, she insisted that I delete Hinge and that we move over to Telegram, or a Signal, I'm sorry. And that, there was a lot of like building confidence and all of that kind of stuff, and how she had to meditate because her last, which was one thing that he said that stuck out about to me was meditation and yoga, because like her last relationship was abusive or whatever, and so the only way that she could sleep was by doing meditation and yoga, which I assume just means my shift is over, I have to go.
One thing that just stuck out to me, the previous caller, Alex, the ones that he was telling me about, the scams he was telling me about, they were trying to get him off of the dating app onto WhatsApp. And you just told me the scammer on your end was trying to get you off the dating app onto Signal. And then when we go back to the first caller who didn't get to that point yet with the scammer, they ended up getting banned by the app. Now, it seems to me, putting this all together, that these scammers are very aware that these dating apps will shut them down. They know that their platforms are being used for these financial scams. So it seems like they try to get you comfortable with them as quickly as possible so they can then siphon you off onto an app that doesn't really care so much about what content is going on there. Like Signal doesn't know, period. So you can't really even blame them, because the way Signal works, it's completely encrypted, peer-to-peer. Signal does not have any of the messages whatsoever. They don't see them. They don't receive them. So Signal's really safe for people to use if you're a anonymous source or whistleblower trying to get information to a journalist. Also really safe to use, unfortunately, too, as a byproduct if you're a scammer.
Yeah, and that was, and like that's always been a thing, like Tinder and Bumble and all of these, like if someone tries to get you off of the app very quickly and they're not willing to meet up, like that's always been sort of a sign that they're gonna try and scam you, like he said, where they try to get you sent, like the less sophisticated ones where oh, send me gift cards in Ohio. And it's like, no, why am I going to do that? But so that's always been kind of a sign. Um, Sometimes, like, because like you said, WhatsApp is like just how people communicate in other countries in a lot of the case. So that's both a sign, but also like if they're foreign, like that's just where they're more comfortable communicating. So like sometimes you just have to be flexible. So it's not always like a sign that it's a scam. So it's interesting that. But anyway, so as soon as I said I wasn't comfortable with crypto, she said, "Oh well, I don't trust anything you say. You said that you would listen to me earlier and that I could mentor you." And I was like, no, I just said, tell me about like what you're doing. But anyway, so it was like this whole trying to shame me into continuing the thing. And I don't know if that's a cultural thing where maybe it works in East Asia more or what, like, because my immediate response was like, fuck you, dude. But
I can imagine, honestly. I mean, yeah, it sucks that you're being led on and then they pull this shit, right?
yeah, well, no, and that sucked, but I mean more of the like trying to shame me part, like that, I don't know, I'm from a Jewish family and my mother tried to pull that shit all the time and my so like
Okay.
it was just like,
that's maybe that's the route scammers should go next. It should be like you log onto Facebook and it's like, it's your mother. Why aren't you making more money? Let me tell you about this new opportunity. You better get in on it, otherwise you're going to be disappointing the family once again. I mean, they should try that out next.
yeah, but so those links are really interesting. So I recommend, like, if you want to do something on them, I recommend, like, I don't know how legitimate it is because I don't speak Mandarin, I don't read Mandarin or whatever, but like, there's literally screenshots of an entire script book for all of this that it seems like what they tried to do to me. So it's supposedly Chinese authorities have shut down at least 2 different syndicates that are doing this in mainland China. I don't, again, like, you're an investigative journalist, so I'm sure you'll be able to suss out what's true and what's not better than I can, but it just seems like it's really interesting and very organized.
No, so. I mean, definitely a lot of these countries where a lot of this is based, they've definitely been cracking down on this stuff. I mean, China in general has not been a fan of crypto, so I'm sure they don't want even crypto scammers to be involved in any sort of shenanigans in their country. But it is it is fascinating to hear all these stories. I was aware that there were obviously scams on these dating apps. I was unaware at exactly what lengths some of them, and like, I know scammer. I've watched even some of these scam feeds where people just lead these scammers on as long as possible. So it's not even shocking exactly like how long some of them focus on an individual. What is surprising is exactly the methods they're going at on these dating apps. Like, again, this shaming you as a possible, but under the guise presenting themselves as a possible future partner. It is bizarre to me. I guess I did not realize that. Men were that desperate where these scammers are like, this will totally work because we know it will because it has. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, and I think it literally, and I don't know whether I should be insulted that it is then calling me ugly, but I think it's like literally like a level of disparity in physical attractiveness in a lot of cases where they find these people who are not, I don't, out of your league or whatever physically, and then, oh, well, in order to be worthy of me, you need to do this. So I think that's where the shame thing comes from. It's like they're trying to exploit that insecurity in people. Because again, it's like, it's all these are not like, it's all models, I think, like from, because again, like mine, the one that tried to scam me was from Singapore, and the one that tried to scam the first caller was from Macau or whatever. But I bet you they're all just using someone's Instagram from who's a model from somewhere in Asia, and like, so it's like, in order to be, and there's that whole like, oh well, either you have to be equally hot or you have to be rich or whatever to, like, that bro culture kind of, it's, I don't know, latent misogyny or whatever, like, God forbid someone actually just be interested in you for like who you are as a person or whatever, but like, you know what I'm saying, where there's just that they try to exploit feelings of insecurity to like, oh well, you need to do this to be worthy of me, so that's why they're trying to shame you or something. I don't know, like, or there's some cultural mistranslation or something. I honestly have no idea what it is, but it's very strange.
Right, and another thing that's interesting to me though is like, listen, obviously, again, I've been out of the dating world for quite some time, but I imagine, knowing how I am, that if a woman told me, if I was single and I was on a dating app, and a woman told me that they even lived outside like a 30 to 50 mile radius, I would immediately be like, up, swipe left or right or whatever the hell you swipe to move on. And I'd be like, I'm not, no thanks. I mean, well, to me, no, I would assume that if someone tells you they're not even from the U.S., you'd be like, oh, well, this isn't going to work out.
No. Sorry. So again, like, this person was in San Mateo, like they were from Singapore, but they had moved to the area in the last like 6 months or whatever, and so they lived like 15 miles away or whatever, and again had very specific information about the area.
Oh, I actually live right next door to you. Is your address 123 blah 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 blah? Oh my God, how did you?
Yeah, almost.
All right. Wow, that's this is. I got to look more into this. This is incredible. Thank you so much for sharing your story too. Really fascinating. Now, I said that was the last call, but then I just got this message from Kowalski that said, got time for one last online dating scam. And all I had to say to him was, oh my God, I got time for one from you. I got to hear the Kowalski experience in one of these online dating scams. Here he is. Is this Kowalski? And it is. Let me pull you up on the feed here. Let me pull you up on the feed here. Just give me 1 second. People can see you now. Hello, Kowalski. And I am dying to hear this dating scam story from you.
So it's not all that like cool, I guess, is like your first caller, which was an insane story. But I have like Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, those three, and I'll get, like many matches. It's not terrible, but I just swipe right on everybody, and then, stuff will start trickling in. But there are some scammers out there, even out here in the middle of freaking nowhere, and all it is it takes you to either OnlyFans accounts or like these fake hookup things. I haven't ran into the crypto scams yet, but these scams are actually getting somewhat sophisticated, and just because I swipe right on everybody and just to see what happens, I get a bunch of matches, and I found that the person that is doing the scamming is basically just copying wholesale people's profiles and then just changing the location. Because this person said they were from a town that's near mine, and there aren't many people of East Asian descent in central Nebraska, believe it or not. And in this county, even if you go and check the demographics, there's 5 total. They claim they were from this small town that has like 30 people in it. I know all 30 people. There are 5 last names in this town. The job they had was marketing. I asked what kind of marketing, and it's like, it was for like selling houses, and it's like, place is a glorified trailer park. Like, you're not selling houses out there. This doesn't make any sense.
Also,
So,
marketing.
like,
Who needs to be
I don't
marketed to in
know.
a town of 30 people? I mean, they pretty much know what each other's wares are. I mean, right? I mean,
Basically, so it's like, and I don't understand because like it would take decent sophistication, you would think, to be able to run a scam like that. But like, yeah, it ain't just out like it. Also, those apps are clearly made for the larger cities. Like it, you said, oh, after 30 miles, call it quits. You do 30 miles here, you're gonna get 12 people. So, but yeah, I just thought I would point that out. Like, yeah, the scam of that is everywhere.
I cannot imagine being single in this day and age. The apps you got to deal with, the social media sites, dating sites you got to deal with. On top of all of that, now there's crypto scams. Actually, I retract. The crypto scams make me, like I said earlier in one of the calls, actually want to get on these apps and see what these scams all look like. Just amazing. Amazing. Again, there's a lot of great stuff happening on the Scam Economy Crypto Hotline live stream that airs right after this show premieres on YouTube. So definitely go check it out and feel free to call in. I will announce all the ways you can interact with the show and call in on the live stream. So definitely tune in. Patreon.com/MattBinder to support this show. ScamEconomy.com for all the podcast links. Check out Doomed at DoomedCast.com. YouTube.com/MattBinder. Twitch.tv/MattBinder. Subscribe if you have an Amazon Prime subscription because it's free via Twitch. And don't forget to leave your Scam Economy reviews on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. It really is a huge help if you can take just a minute. No, it's not even a minute really, but just take a minute to go ahead and leave your review. Oh, wait. All right, folks. To all my single listeners, be safe out there. Don't fall for any crypto scams. And to everybody, I will see you all next time on the Scam Economy.